Welcome back to Kintsugi's classroom. Today again we are back to tenses and verbs and all that. We are done with the tenses town expedition. I hope you found it very useful. Now actually tenses comes under verb. Actually tenses is closely related to verbs, right? Tenses take their shape or form from the verbs. It is the verbs, and I think verbs are the essence of tenses. Okay, so it's almost like verbs are the mothers of tenses. And we did not do the verbs. I had actually posted in the shorts, PPT of verbs at a glance, but then of course they were all deleted because that ID itself was, the account was deleted. So I'll try to post that again for your perusal. Meanwhile, we just have a glance at it. I had posted it as verbs at a glance. Today also we are going to have verbs at a glance, but then it won't be just a glance. I will be explaining what they are exactly. So whatever you have learned here, there as tidbits. In one class you must have learned the kinds of verbs. Transitive, intransitive, and in another, after 2-3 months, you must have learned finite and non-finite. And then after maybe in the next class you must have learned modal verbs, and from the primary you must have learned auxiliary verbs. We learn things. Actually grammar, we are learning it in tidbits, so we don't get the connection. We don't really get the connection, the whole picture. So what I am trying to give is the parts of the speech. I am trying to give the whole picture. Okay, so I am dealing with both the primary and the high school. Yesterday I posted something for the primary students. Today I am posting something for the middle and the high school. So I am just trying to manage both. So for the primary ones it will be all fun element. For the high school I don't think we need to be, we need to make everything funny. So tenses expedition was a very meaningful journey. We did it in a very different way. This actually we will do it quickly. Alright. So now that you know the style, I have put everything in one frame. Actually I was finding it very difficult to put all the verbs into one frame. But I have tried, managed to put everything related to verbs here. Okay, so first thing that we will know is verbs are divided into two kinds. The finite verbs and the non-finite verbs. Okay. Now under the finite verbs are verbs that do not that change their form. Okay, whenever you find the finite verbs, the verbs used in that will change their forms. Now when I say forms, I mean the three forms that we have, V1, V2, V3. Okay, so they change their form. They will take either V1, V2 or V3. They change their form. Whereas when it comes to the non-finite verbs, they don't change their verb. It's behind me. I'll explain to you later. Non-finite verbs don't change their forms. Okay, they remain the same. So there is a formula for it. For each non-finite verb, we will have a formula. So I'll put it there on the board so that you understand it. So here we have now under the finite verbs, we have all these. Okay. Transitive, intransitive and auxiliary verbs. The tenses, as I said, is the child of all these. Okay, tenses you will find in all these, right? So it's a culmination of, it's a mixture of all this. You will find tenses in everything. It's the omnipresent thing in these four kinds. Alright. So I am not mentioning tenses here. I am not putting tenses there. But tenses also change their form. You know it very well. But tenses are all in there. It is all inbuilt inside these. Okay. So the first one is the transitive verb. Okay. Now what is a transitive verb? The transitive verb is a verb which has a direct object. So the object after the verb, if it is direct, it is transitive. Now how will we know whether it is direct or indirect? By asking this question to the object what. If the object answers the question what, it is direct object. Now let's say, let's take for an example, I gave a chocolate to my son. Okay, right? Now here there are two objects. One is a chocolate and to my son. Now which of this is answering the question? If I ask what did I give? chocolate. So chocolate is the direct object and my son is the indirect object. You understand the difference, direct object and indirect object? So whenever there is a direct object, it is transitive verb. And whenever there is an indirect object, it is intransitive. Now when it comes to indirect object, you have so many things to learn, like adverbial phrases, adverbial clauses, adverbial, what do we call it, prepositional phrases, a lot of things you will be learning, and I'm not going into that detail. You only understand that when there is no direct object, it is intransitive. So any object that does not answer the question what will become an intransitive verb. That understanding please have. And then the third form of this finite verb could be the auxiliary verbs or the helping verbs, what we call as the helping verbs. Now under the helping verbs we have three forms. Okay, helping verb has three forms. They are be form, do form and perfect form. Now under be form, what are the words that we use? Am, is, are, was, were, been. Very often when there is a fill in the blanks, they would say, they will put in the bracket be, and very often students are confused as to what do we fill for be. What is the be form? When they put be, what word should I put in there? With tenses, it often happens. The bracket will have a be and children don't understand this be will be there. And children don't understand what is this be form, be, what does it stand for, what should I put in there? Okay, so this is the be form. These words, the V1 form is am, is, V1 singular, and V1 plural is are, V2 is was, V2 plural is were, and V3 is being, and being is the V4, okay, the ing form. That is how it is, be form. And the second one is the do form of the auxiliary verb, which is do, does, did and done. Okay, do is the plural, okay, and does is the singular, V1 plural and singular, and then did is the V2 and done is the V3 form of the do words. Then we have the perfect, that, has, have, had, that is, these are the forms, these are infinitive, and then this auxiliary verb has one more. Okay, there is one more auxiliary verb, that is the modal verbs. Now I have not put them with this. I have not included modal verbs because modal verbs do not come under the finite verbs. Okay, because modal verbs also don't change their forms. So, though it belongs to the auxiliary category, but it doesn't come under the finite one. Therefore, I have separated it from there. Okay, I have not added it here. So we have seen the finite ones. I suppose you have a general idea of what this finite verb is. So there are three kinds of finite verbs. They are transitive, intransitive, auxiliary, and auxiliary has four forms. I have put three here because only these three come under the finite verb category. So shall we go to the next one? So the next one is the non-finite verbs. Okay. Now under non-finite verbs you have the gerunds, participles, and the two infinitives. Of course, as I mentioned, the modal verbs also will come under the non-finite because they don't change their form. Alright. So non-finite is basically you have this understanding. These do not change their form. That is the basic understanding of non-finite verb. So gerunds. Now how does a non-finite verb become a gerund? It is by adding V1 plus ing form. Okay. So now we say what is a gerund then? When a verb acts as a noun, it is gerund. Okay. When a verb acts as a noun, then it becomes a gerund. Alright. And participle is when a verb acts as an adjective. Okay. When a verb acts as an adjective, it is the participle form. And then we have the to infinitive. Now this to infinitive we will be using a lot in the imperative sentences, particularly when we change the imperative from direct speech to indirect speech. You will be using only these two infinitives. Okay. So that is it. And modal verbs are, can, could, may, might, shall, should, will, would, ought to, need to, used to, these are all modal verbs. I will be dealing with the modal verbs separately because it cannot go with this. That has to be dealt with in detail. So today actually I will be posting 2 videos. Therefore modal verbs also will be dealt today itself. Alright, in fact I am posting 3 videos today. I think that is a bit too much, but then if anybody is in need of these 3 videos, you can go through them. So gerunds, so when I said these do not change their form, therefore they should be a fixed form. That formula I have put in. So for gerund it is V1 plus ing. It will remain the same. And participle has 2, present and past. Now present participle will again have the V1 plus ing and past participle will have V3. Now I have taken an example. Actually the example that I could give here is the whining child was taken to the hospital. Now whining is a verb, V1 plus ing, but it is acting as an adjective describing what kind of a child, whining child. Okay, and broken vase was mended, broken vase. V3 form of break. Now here it is describing what kind of a vase it was. It was a broken vase. So it has acted as an adjective. Therefore it is past participle. So participle can be past and present and past, and they act as the adjective, as adjectives. They are verbs but they take the role of an adjective describing a noun or a pronoun. Right? And 2 infinitives I already said. The formula is 2 plus V1. Okay? 2 plus V1, to whine or to break. I will use the same, breaking for nouns, breaking for this I have taken whining and broken, and the modal verbs I am not dealing with right now. I have just told you what the modal verbs are. So these are the non-finite verbs. I will repeat once again. The first one is gerunds. Gerunds act as nouns. Verbs that act as nouns are gerunds. So they will either come in the subject place or in the object place. Okay. Swimming is good for health. Here swimming is a verb but used as a noun. Then the second one is participles. Participles act as adjectives. Okay. And there are 2 types of participles that act as adjectives. They are present participle and past participle. The present example for the present one is the whining child was taken to the, or the crying child was taken to the hospital. And the V3 form was the broken vase was repaired. Okay. And for the 2 infinitives, I was told to go to the market. To go. 2 plus V1. I was told to go to the market. And the modal verbs, there are many of them. Okay. Can, could, will, should, would, shall, should, may, might. Okay, there are so many. I will deal with them immediately after this one. Alright. And then we are talking about verb forms. V1, V2, V3. Now this also you have to notice that there are regular verb forms and irregular verb forms. Okay. Now what are the regular verb forms? The regular verb forms are when you change from V1 to V2. It will just, you have to just add a D or an ED, like saved. You have just added a D to make it a V2 form. So those it's easy ones, the regular ones. You just add a D and you make it a verb. Whereas irregular ones, totally change their form. Okay, like I have given an example, swim, swam, swum. Okay, there are so many of them. So there are 2 kinds of verb forms also, okay, the regular and the irregular one. Now this broken that I used here is a irregular verb form. Break, broke, broken, irregular verb form. So this is, maybe it is too quick, but this is verbs at a glance, okay. I have tried to put almost everything related to verbs into this one frame, and I hope you find it useful. Maybe you can work out some, there are lots of worksheets available, so you can, ask for worksheets from the net and solve them, and while solving it, you keep these points in mind. And I will be posting the verbs at a glance in the shorts, okay? We can have a look at it also if you want it. So if you find these classes useful, please subscribe and share it with your friends. It is very, very essential that you share it so that it becomes, many people benefit out of it. And I'm looking for your comments too. Okay, and keep the notification button so that whenever I post a video, you can, see it, watch it. Thank you. See you soon with another video.